For the first time in Asia, connect your land phone and smartphone through SLT Wi-Fi with the SLT Voice app.
Could there be scapegoats? Criminal investigations to be launched against 9 police officers in the fallout of Easter attacks. Another day at the Parliamentary Select Committee. Much talked about Abdul Razik testifies. Trouble ahead. Modi's flagged challenges to Sri Lanka's refinancing of government debt. Kim gets a boost. China's president visits North Korea in the first Chinese state visit to Pyongyang in 14 years. All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Thursday, the 20th of June 2019.
මොහොන සති කීපයකට කලින් Fair and Lovely men ගෑවට පස්සේ මාක්ස් අඩු වෙලා fairness වැඩි වෙලා.
මාක්ස් අඩු කරලා ඔයාගේ fairness standard එක වැඩි කරගන්න. Fair and Lovely men anti marks cream.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamma Gekanaga. Let's start with your local stories. Now, Sri Lanka is still in the process of identifying those accountable over the failure to prevent the Easter Sunday terror attacks, with the Parliamentary Select Committee continuing to probe the incident. Both politicians and security service personnel were heavily blamed for not acting on pre-warnings of the terror attacks. With that being the case, it emerged today that the Attorney General has directed the Acting Inspector General of Police to conduct criminal investigations against several police officers.
The Attorney General has directed the Acting Inspector General of Police to carry out criminal investigations against several police officers' lapses with regard to the Easter Sunday attacks. In the letter to the Acting IGP Chandana Vikramaratne, the Attorney General refers to the final report of the Special Board of Inquiry appointed to inquire about the Easter attacks and requests the Acting IGP to implement its recommendations to take suitable criminal and disciplinary action against the police officers. Accordingly, criminal investigations will be launched against 9 police officers. 3 Deputy Inspectors General in charge of Colombo, the Western Province and the Special Protection Range are included in the list. In addition, Senior Superintendent of Negombo, Superintendent Colombo North and 2 Assistant Superintendents of Negombo 3 and Negombo 4 are to be subjected to the criminal probe. Meanwhile, the OICs of the Katana Police Station and the Jampata Police Post are also included in the investigation. The AG has also directed the Acting IGP to refer these recommendations to the National Police Commission for suitable disciplinary action.
In the meantime, President Maithripala instructed the security forces to expedite investigations into those arrested for minor offences following the Easter Sunday attacks, calling for the immediate release of the innocent. The President gave these directives addressing the National Security Council last evening, where the country's current state as well as the country's security program was discussed at length. The meeting was joined by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, Speaker Karu Jayasuriya, the Defence Secretary, Chief of Defence Staff, commanders of the Tri-Forces, intelligence chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, senior officers of security forces and senior parliamentarians as well as ministers. During the meeting, the President had pointed out the importance of taking continuous measures to ensure the security at places where public gatherings and religious events take place. Now, it was the turn of Secretary of the All Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat Abdul Razik to appear before the Parliamentary Select Committee probing the Easter Sunday attacks today. He was grilled by the committee members about the controversial statements he had made on Buddhism. Razik also accepted that his statements had resulted in the incitement of hatred towards the Muslim community.
Razik Rafiq did.
මේ හරි ඉන්දියාවේ හරි කටයුතු කළා නැහැ.
කිසිම තැනක නැහැ සර්.
නිමාස් කෑවා බෞද්ධ ආගමේ බුදුවහන්සේ කියලා තියෙනවා. ඇයි මේ වගේ ආගමට අගෞරව කරන දේවල් කියන්නේ?
සර් ඒක ඇත්තටම 2013 අවුරුද්දේ සිද්ධ වුණ දේශනයක්. ඒ කියන්නේ මම පොතක් නිර්මාංශ ප්‍රශ්නය කියන මේ පොත කිරිබත් ගොඩ ඥානානන්ද ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේගේ පොත උපුටලා දැක්ුවා. සුප්පියා උපාසිකාවගේ කලව මාංශය ගිලන් වූ භික්ෂුවක් වැළඳූ කතාවක් මම ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට ඒ ගිලන් වූ භික්ෂුව වෙනුවට බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේගේ නම මට පැටලෙවීමකින් සිද්ධ වුණා. මේක මට ඒ කාලෙම මාසයක් ඇතුළත ප්‍රසිද්ධියේ මම සමාව අරගන්නවා කියලා.
ඔබතුමා ISIS ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා.
ඔව් සර්. මේ සුද්ධ වූ කුර්ආන් පරිවර්තනයේ මම 2015 11 වෙනි මාස 8 වෙනිදා නිකුත් කරේ. මේකේ පැහැදිලිවම අවියායුධ සන්නද්ධ පුද්ගලයෝ ඉන්නවා නම් ඔවුන් ත්‍රස්තවාදීන් කියලා අපි කියලා තියෙනවා.
මේකට වහබිසම් මෙහි තියෙන්නේ. මේ වගේ මුස්ලිම් පල්ලි කීයක් විතර තියෙනවද?
තෞහීද් කියන්නේ එකම දෙවියන් ඇදහිම. මේ සංකල්පය තෞහීද් කියන නමින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රචලිත වෙනකොට අර මොහම්මද් ඉබ්නු අබ්දුල් වහාබ් කියන ඒ වියතානුනුත් මේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ප්‍රකාශ කරපු නිසා තෞහීද් කියන ඒ ප්‍රචාරය ගෙන යන අයට වහාම මේ ලේබල් කරනය ගැව්ව මුහුන් වහබ්වාදීන් කියලා.
මෞලවීලා බොහොම ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ මුස්ලිම් කට්ටිය මේ වහිබිසම් ගැන වැරදි කියලා තියෙන මේක රටට අගුණයි අපේ සහජීවනයේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියන්නේ.
නෑ ඒගොල්ලෝ වැරදි අර්ථකථනයක් ලබා දෙන්නේ. මුහුණු ආවරණය කියන්නේ නබිනායකතුමාණන්ගේ භාර්යාවන්ට පමණක් අදාළ නීතියක් කියලා අපි මේ පොතේම සඳහන් කරලා තියෙනවා. මේක වැරදි කියලා හුවා දක්වන්න අදහස් කරන්නේ උලමා සංවිධානය. ඒ වගේම ඇතන් දේශපාලන
ඔබතුමා දන්නවද මේ ආගමික වියතුන්ගේ සංවිධානයක් ලංකාවේ පවතින බව? ඒ ආගමික වියතුන්ගේ සංවිධානයට ඔබතුමාලා එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නවද?
නෑ සර් අපි ආගමික වියතුන්ගේ සංවිධානයට අපි ඒකාබද්ධ වෙලා කටයුතු කරන්නේ නෑ සර්. කටයුතු කරොත් අපිත් අලල් සාතිකයට වග කියන්න වෙලා ඇති. එimhe එකතු වුණොත් අපිත් මුහුණු ආවරණයට වග කියන්න වෙනවා. ඒක අපේ නිකායික ප්‍රශ්නයක් සර්.
අරාබි භාෂාව අධ්‍යයනය කිරීම සහ ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීම ඔබතුමාලගේ සංවිධානය පිළිගන්නවද?
බුද්ධ භාෂිතයට පාලි භාෂාව අවශ්‍ය වගේ වටහා ගන්න අපේ මූලික මේ ලේඛන වටහා ගන්න අපිට අරාබි භාෂාව වැදගත් ආගම වටහා ගන්නට ඍජු ලෙස.
නමුත් අරාබි භාෂාව ඉගෙන ගන්න එකයි හැම නගරයකම ගමකම තියෙන පුවරු අරාබි භාෂාවෙන් දාන එකයි දෙකක්.
එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ සංවිධානයේ පිළිගත් භාෂා 6ක දෙවැනි තැන තියෙන්නේ අරාබි භාෂාවට.
ඒක වැඩිම තියෙන භාෂාව මොකක්ද? එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ සංවිධානය.
ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාව.
එතකොට අපේ රටේ හැම එකම ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කරන්න ඕනද ඊට පස්සේ?
නෑ එහෙම නෑ සමම.
මේක නෑ.
නෑ සර් එහෙම මම කියන්න ආවේ.
අපේ රට අදාළ අපේ ජාතික භාෂාවල් පිළිගත්තේවා විතරයි.
සාරාන් නරනකොට මේ ප්‍රහාරකයන්ගෙන් කිසිම කෙනෙක් ඔබගේ සංවිධානය හිටියේ නැද්ද?
නෑ ඒ බෝම්බ ප්‍රහාරයට සම්බන්ධ වුණු පුද්ගලයෙක් හිටියා හස්තුන් කියලා. හස්තුන් කියන පුද්ගලයා
කටුවා පිටියේ ප්‍රහාරකයා.
ප්‍රහාරකයා.
ඔබතුමා ඇත්තටම සිංහල කතා කරන අපර වඩා හොඳට. එහෙම වෙලා ඔබතුමාට බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ පැටලෙනවා ඊළඟ වෙච්ච මේ හාමුදුරු නමක් එක්ක. ඒක අපට විශ්වාස කරන්න බෑ.
නොදැනුවත්ව වැළඳුවයි කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ.
නොදැනුවතුමා එහෙමනම් කියන්නේ මට පේන විදිහට ඔබතුමාට ඔය වගේ පැටලෙනවා නම් දේශනාත වීම නවත්තන්න.
මුස්ලිම් සමාජය කෙරෙහි වෛරය හැදුනා. ඔබතුමාගේ ප්‍රකාශය කියන එක ඔබ පිළිගන්නේ නැද්ද?
ඔව් ඒක තමයි ආందోලනයක් සිද්ධ වුණා.
The Parliamentary Select Committee has, however, decided to keep the identity of certain witnesses confidential. Deputy Speaker of Parliament Ananda Kumarasiri says the committee will also record certain testimonies without the presence of media personnel. This decision was taken at the meeting of the Parliamentary Select Committee yesterday. It is reported that the committee members had discussed concluding its functions before the end of July. The members have also prepared a list of witnesses to be summoned to future meetings. The move comes at the heels of the President's refusal to let intelligence officials testify before the committee owing to presence of the media personnel at the proceedings. Now, with various experts cautioning that the so-called ISIS is turning their attention to the South Asian region with its defeat in Iraq and Syria, Indian intelligence reports warn that India and Sri Lanka are likely to be under threat with the terror group turning its attention to the Indian Ocean region. According to details of inter-police communications seen by NDTV, Kerala police officers hint at the possibility of such a development. 2 more documents are quoted in the report, and one of them says that key installations in Kochi, including a prominent shopping mall, could become ISIS targets. It cites increased ISIS-related cyber activity in India as sign of terror attacks to come. Senior officials cite Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Kashmir as the states most vulnerable to this ISIS influence in India. The report also says that while the Telegram messenger was a preferred mode of communication among ISIS operatives until now, fear of information leak has now forced them to use other secure apps such as Chat Secure, Signal and Silent Text. According to a senior Indian police officer, at least 100 people are believed to have joined ISIS from Kerala in the last few years. Around 3,000, it says, have been de-radicalized and are now being monitored, with most of these suspects hailing from North Kerala. A top India police officer is also quoted as saying that district police chiefs have been told to strengthen internal security cells, while around 10 to 12 online honey traps have been put in place to identify radicalized police personnel in Kerala. Furthermore, as many as 30 people linked to various groups have come under the scanner ever since the coordinated blasts in Sri Lanka. The Kerala coast, meanwhile, has been put on high alert to prevent the entry of ISIS terrorists from Sri Lanka since the end of May. Now, in the meantime, Deputy Secretary of the Russian Security Council, Yuri Kokov, has said that expert estimation is that the Easter Sunday attacks have been prepared by the local supporters of the global jihad ideology based on the ISIS foreign structures. He added that the practical organization of the explosions was set up by the members of the local radical group who returned to Sri Lanka after fighting on the side of the IS in Syria and Iraq. Kokov goes on to say that in past, ISIS militants called on its supporters to move to Iraq and Syria. However, now they offer them to stay and continue the jihad in their countries of residence. He also warns that West, saying that these threats are also relevant to the European Union states. Kokov added that the increased incidents of terrorist activity in the West lead to a reaction from right-wing radicals, as it happened in New Zealand, and threat of attacks coming from extremists from various kinds cannot be outruled. The Australian Federal Police has sent more than 20 officers to Sri Lanka in the wake of the deadly Easter Sunday bombings, including intelligence officials, technical specialists and forensic teams. Deputy Commissioner National Security Leanne Close of the Australian Federal Police told The Australian that during the course of the Sri Lankan investigation, the police acquired about 70 terabytes of data, the equivalent of hundreds and millions of photos. Close said that they used some of their technical expertise in uncovering data, work with calls, who's made calls to whom, looking at some of the financial transactions, linking people of interest who may have been integral to the conspiracy around the bomb making, and ultimately the actual actions of the day. With one of the bombers, Abdul Latif Jamil, believed to have been radicalized during his time in Australia, Close said that the Australian Federal Police executed 4 search warrants and questioned several people. Moving on with other local stories. Now, the Chinese government donated security equipment worth nearly 60 million rupees to Sri Lanka to be used at the Parliament. 3 portable X-ray machines and 5 walk-through metal detectors were among the security equipment handed over to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya by China's ambassador in Sri Lanka, Cheng Chuan.
China donated a set of security equipment to the Sri Lankan Parliament yesterday, worth nearly 60 million rupees. The security equipment, including 3 portable X-ray machines and 5 walk-through metal detectors, were handed over to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya by Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Cheng Chuan. The speaker, while thanking the Chinese government and its people, said the donation of the security equipment to the Sri Lankan Parliament was very valuable following the terror attacks.
China has been a friend to us during good times and bad times. When we have a national calamity or a disaster, China is one of the first countries to come forward. The gift that you gave us today is very valuable to us because the Sri Lanka Parliament also was to be blown up on that day. Because normally the terrorists take a kick in blowing up Parliament. They did that in Iran.
Country Director of the United Nations Development Programme, Joran Sorensen, called on the Governor of the Northern Province, Dr. Suren Raghavan, today at the Governor's Secretariat in Jaffna. The discussion was mainly focused on development projects in the Northern Province. During the talks, the Governor had requested to assist implementation of the Vadamarachi Lagoon project, which will help solve the issue of inadequate water in the north. The discussion had also focused on Sri Lankan refugees living in neighbouring India. Northern Province Governor had requested the United Nations to assist bringing these refugees back to the country. The Colombo Chief Magistrate has cancelled the overseas travel approval given to the Chairman of the Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Jeffrey Aloysius. The Chief Magistrate has delivered the order, taking into consideration a submission presented by the Attorney General's Department. The Chief Magistrate has also instructed to void the order delivered on the 13th of June to release the PTL chairman's passport, which had been held under the custody of the court. Attorney General's Department informed court that they would file indictments and lodge a case within the first 2 weeks of July with the Permanent High Court at bar against Jeffrey Aloysius and 9 others over the bond scam. Considering the submissions, Chief Magistrate Lankas decided to void the court order that granted him permission to travel overseas. The Parliament today passed the bill to repeal the Expropriation Act, which passed during the previous regime, allowing the government to take over underperforming enterprises or underutilised assets not performing up to government's expectations. The bill was put to a vote in the House with 91 members casting their vote in favour, with 69 voting against. Accordingly, the bill passed by a majority of 22 votes. The revival of the Underperforming Enterprises or Underutilised Assets Act No. 43 of 2011 was enacted in 2011 to vest the underperforming enterprises or underutilised assets with the government, making provisions for their proper management, administration or revival and for the payment of relevant compensation. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is buoyed by the government's resilience, saying that its opponents thought the Easter Sunday attacks spelled the end of the government. Addressing an event in Homagama last evening, organised to hand over Samurdhi certificates to 4,500 families, the Premier said that the government has the courage and the strength to face any challenge or catastrophe. The opposition says there is no government in the country. For the last 21 years, they were running a so-called strong government, but they couldn't provide Samurdhi benefits for the deserving families. On the other hand, the UNP, within just a year after Ministry of Samurdhi was taken over, has managed to provide Samurdhi benefits for 600,000 more families. In 2015, we inherited a bankrupt country, but the government managed to rebuild the country. Those opponents who couldn't stomach the development drive are accusing and criticising the government. The opposition knows that they cannot challenge the government in the development front, as we have been carrying out a massive development drive at village level. Therefore, they try to level unfounded allegations against us. Our opponents thought that we would be completely destroyed with the Easter Sunday bomb attack, but we have the courage and the strength to face any challenge or catastrophe. Therefore, be assured that we will never stop our village level development programs. Former cricketer Mahela Jayawardena highlights the importance of creating an environment of free thought for the next generation in order to minimise the gap of societal, ethnic, racial and religious differences. Addressing a forum which discussed current issues with special attention on hate speech yesterday, the former Sri Lanka cricket legend also drew attention to declaration of race being a requirement in obtaining a birth certificate.
I've been involved in cricket for 20 years. The only way we could have competed, having 20 million population with the limited facilities we had, was about identifying individuals. When you identify individuals, you don't look for their race or their religion. You look for skills, for compassion, hard work, commitment, and you then get them to apply that on a sporting field. It's that simple, and it's the same thing when it comes to corporates as well. That is how you become productive as a country. Individual skills. So that doesn't come with a tagline of race and religion. When I went to register my daughter's birth certificate, I refused to put her race and religion, and they said you won't get a birth certificate. That's compulsory. We start our discrimination, our segregation at that point. The only thing we need to put in our birth certificate is we're Sri Lankan. That segregation then moves on to our schools, our education, and to a point where when you're getting a job as well. If Sri Lanka is a country to grow with everybody in it, you need to allow our next generation to find their own feet and to find about other religions. Let them study other religions. Without them knowing, that is the hate speech starts. For us to come out of that, we need to educate people, and that has to start from our school system.
Minister of Telecommunications Haran Fernando is of the view that the United National Party's candidate for the looming presidential election should be a young leader with an innovative mindset. The minister's thoughts on the presidential candidate came as he responded to journalists at the Bandaranaike International Airport.
ඉදිරියේ එන ජනාධිපතිවරණය සම්බන්ධයෙන් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ වැඩපිළිවෙල කුමක්ද?
මම හිතනවා අපි අපේ දිනන අපේක්ෂකයෙක් දානවා කවුරුත්.
We will nominate a winning candidate. There is nothing to worry about, even though some are making a big deal of it. We are of the view that a young leader with innovative thoughts should be our candidate. I respect and love the party as well as its leadership, and I believe that the party should be pushed towards a winning position. A clean candidate should be appointed, and we have someone of that nature, and we will nominate him in due time.
ඒ අපේක්ෂක එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ ඉන්නවා අපි වෙලාවට එළියට දෙන්න.
හැබැයි ඔබතුමාලා දැන් පහුගිය ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ රටට පොදු අපේක්ෂකයෙක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා දින නායකයෙක් ගෙනාවා. දැන් මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ?
මේක හරි පුද්ගලයාට වැඩ කළා වැඩ.
We should give the opportunity to the correct person who has worked for the country. If the opposition too brings a person of that nature, the contest between them will be a close one.
බලමු මේ ඡන්දේ කොහොම වෙයිද කියලා.
There is more news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Sri Lanka's government could face risks in refinancing its $3 billion of foreign debt in the next 5 years, especially if investor sentiment changes. In a new report, the Moody's Investor Service says that domestic and external obstacles pose challenges to Sri Lanka's refinancing of government debt, adding that potential for sudden shifts in investor sentiment could affect the availability and cost of funding sources. Moody's noted that lower tourism arrivals and spending following the April terrorist attacks will hit GDP growth and add further pressure to the public and external finances. Political tensions, it said, could also resurface before and after the presidential election scheduled for later this year and the parliamentary election set for next year, with the potential to interrupt reforms and undermine investor confidence. Taking a look at the market, shares hit a more than 1 week low today due to profit making and continued foreign fund outflows. The all share price index ended 0.37% weaker at 5,372.37, its lowest closing level since the 11th of June. Turnover was 136.01 million rupees, while foreign investors sold a net 34.4 million rupees worth of shares, extending the year-to-date net foreign outflow to 5.9 billion rupees. We have Dimantha Matthew now from First Capital Holdings with today's market performance.
Both the capital markets witnessed a very weak sentiment today amidst a lack of investor interest. If you take the bond market, the yield curve remained relatively unchanged, while the overall volume was very thin and buying interest was there with limited activity. If you take the stock market, we saw the market ending in a negative note with turnover levels dominated by Richard Peary's and John Case holdings. Both the shares saw net foreign outflows, with the overall net foreign outflow figure being at 34 million rupees. Overall turnover levels are very weak in the stock market as well.
And now to bring you a currency update, the Sri Lankan rupee ended at 178 rupees and 49 cents against the US dollar, compared with yesterday's close of 176 rupees and 65 to 80 cents. Let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day. We take a look at what's happening around the world on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Chinese President Xi Jinping has met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during the first Chinese state visit to Pyongyang in 14 years. The leaders were expected to discuss economic issues and the stalled talks over North Korea's nuclear program. This is their fifth meeting in 15 months, but the first to have taken place in North Korea. Both leaders are currently in separate disputes with the United States, China over trade and North Korea over nuclear weapons.
Today's meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was the first between the two leaders since a summit held by Kim and US President Donald Trump ended in February without any agreement on denuclearization. It also comes just a week before the Chinese president is set to meet his US counterpart Donald Trump at the G20 summit in Japan. China's main goal is stability in North Korea and economic cooperation and ensuring that it remains a significant party in the negotiations over North Korea's nuclear program. The two communist-led states are old allies, but ties have been strained over the past decade with Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions viewed critically by Beijing. North Korea's economy is struggling under the international sanctions put in place because of its repeated nuclear and missile tests. China, its biggest trading partner, has backed those sanctions but has indicated it would be in favor of some sanctions relief as an incentive for North Korea to denuclearize.
A US military surveillance drone has been shot down by Iranian forces while flying over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corps said the aircraft had violated Iranian airspace and that the incident sent a clear message to America. The US military, however, insisted that the drone had been over international waters at the time and condemned what it called an unprovoked attack by the IRGC. President Donald Trump tweeted Iran made a very big mistake. The incident comes at a time of escalating tension between the two countries. On Monday, the US Defense Department said it was deploying 1,000 extra troops to the region in response to hostile behavior by Iranian forces. It has already sent an aircraft carrier strike group and B-52 bombers. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.